Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Micaela Juarez. I am Head of Communications for World Travel Market, and welcome to what I'm sure will be a fascinating and enlightening session by PhoCusWright. World Travel Market has been working with PhoCusWright for the last few years, giving our audiences, be it online or in person at the events, access to the latest research. Today's session will focus on the fast-paced change in the world of technology and how the travel industry is embracing it and adapting its models accordingly. For example, mobile adoption is soaring and empowered hyper-connected travelers to engage in entirely new ways. The accelerated pace of innovation is disrupting business as usual, compelling travel professionals to consider major strategic shifts. Without further ado, I shall pass over to PhoCusWright's Florence Casci and Kees Bosselaar, I got it right, didn't I? To give us the details of those hot topics and key trends that will shape the online travel landscape for 2014 and beyond. Thank you. Can't move forward.
A potent force is gaining strength across the global travel industry today, bringing new consumer expectations and threatening the unprepared. For the sellers of the sameness, you should be aware. No one size never fits all. The days of the generic are gone. A rising legion of new travelers are entering the market with complete new expectations and a change in their behaviors that you should be aware of. The cult of context is the theme of the new PhoCusWright conference in 2013. PhoCusWright conference is the leading event within the travel industry and welcome every year around 1,600 travel executives. This year, the conference will take place in Miami from the 19th of November until the 21st. The theme of the PhoCusWright conference this year adheres to a simple truth. Success of many requires serving the wants of the one. Travelers today have no tolerance for so-so search and have absolutely no pity for personalized deals that are not so personal. Travel companies need to know their customers, and that goes without saying that it's all based on their technology. Confusion of devices bring chaos in the travel industry. However, the cloud has the power to calm. Data can really differentiate, and context commands today. Travel is our world. For the ones in the audience who don't know PhoCusWright yet, PhoCusWright is the leading research authority within the travel industry. We watch constantly the consumer, how travelers, suppliers, and intermediaries connect, and we report those findings during our annual event. Our analysts are based all around the world and look at all those trends that we report through many different projects and syndicated research. The global travel market is definitely recovering from a very deep recession that has been lasting for the past few years. However, this recovery is still pretty weak. In 2012, the total travel showed 235 billion euros in Europe in terms of gross bookings, only an increase of 5% compared to the previous year. At the end of 2013, we forecast only an increase of 2%, as we will reach 246 billion euros. Italy and Spain are definitely the markets suffering the most. If you look at France, UK, Germany, Scandinavia, those markets still show an increase of a minimum of 5%. Travel incidents raised by around 4 points. Traveler spend increased as well all across the market, but the growth is pretty weak. And it's very difficult to gain market shares for all travel industry companies here sitting in this room. In regards to technology, one great example would be mobile, of course. 1/3 of the British travelers this year booked travel product through their mobile. This is a constant battle everywhere between destinations, between suppliers and distributors, and also between yourselves. As today, if you want to gain market shares, you can only do it by fighting your competition. Merchandising, mobile, social, data, meta search, all those keywords that you and me hear and read in the press almost every day. Meta search is booming all across Europe, supported by some very interesting acquisition. Liligo by Odigeo, Kayak by Priceline, Trivago by Expedia. Everyone talks about meta search all across the European markets. If you look at each of those keywords, they're all supported by new technology platforms. Technology is what we believe at PhoCusWright drive the travel industry. Innovation reshape the distribution dogma and consumer behaviors. So we've done an extended research and analysis on those big trends, 10 trends that we believe are going to change the future of travel distribution. And we have released those findings in a white paper that we have. It's an effort with World Travel Market. This white paper is going to be available after this session, available to download online through the PhoCusWright website. And please feel free to pick up a card where you'll have a link where you can download this piece of research. And we'll have also a few copies available on our stand. Stand is TT144 for the ones who haven't stopped by yet. All those trends that we're going to present today, we'll actually present 6 trends out of those 10. The rest will be available through the reports. And each of those trends, really, they should not be viewed individually, but as a matrix of interconnected trends and parts.
So we have 10 trends that we covered in the white paper. For our presentation, we're just going to focus on 6 for time's sake. So the first trend is new patterns of content challenge distribution. What do we mean by that? So 20 years ago, all the air, hotel, car, cruise data was only available and aggregated in the big GDRs, the Amadeus, Sabre, Travelport. That was 20 years ago. A lot has changed, as we all know. There are many other alternatives, but those GDRs are still very powerful and still in the market, although there are many alternatives. But what we see right now is what's happening is we see personal clouds, and I want to talk about it in a second, personal clouds, the Internet of Things, online real-time reach and aggregation without a GDS. So again, we're talking about information on hotel, air, car, cruise, and personal cloud means you have somewhere in the cloud, you have your own space where you can collect data and keep data and access it from any place or time when you want. For example, Dropbox is an example, Google Drive, iCloud, Amazon has an own personal cloud. So that's one thing. 2, the Internet of Things. Not a great name, but that's the name what was given to it, also known as IoT. That means that things like your heating at home, or your alarm system, or your hairdryer can be connected to the internet and actually can communicate with the internet, or it gives you information and you can do something with it. For travel, for example, that would mean that your suitcases are connected to the internet. By the way, that actually exists. And that means that if you land in London, that you can see on your mobile phone that your suitcases are heading towards Kunming, China, which is great to be continuously on top of where your suitcases are. Another thing would be, for example, in a vacation rental. If you own a second home and you rent it out, then the lock or the alarm system can be actually is connected via the internet, and you can change the data that people, renters, can go into your house, or you can change the alarm system with a temporary keyword, etc. Online real-term reach means that even small entities, like a hotel with 6 rooms, now can offer its products online, and you can actually book real-time. Or, for example, a Grey Line cruise or a Grey Line bus tour can be booked online real-time. And then you have the aggregation without the GDS. That means, for example, as a business traveler, that you would like to decide for yourself what hotel you stay or what airline you fly. Yeah? So it allows you, the Concur application allows you to book as a business traveler anything you want, but still it complies with the rules of the company for corporate travel. So, one more time, oops, went a little bit too far there. So access to same information regardless of device, that's the cloud that I talked about. Increasing amounts of data from sensors and monitoring points, that's the Internet of Things. Every supplier able to establish online reservations, the small hotel, a tour, a little tour like Crayline tour, it's not lil, but if you have particular tours in particular destinations. Trip and expense data being aggregated without GDS, as we talked about. Yeah? That was number 1, and I'm going to number 2. Did I go too far? I covered it.
Giving people too many choices tends to lessen their satisfaction. The time that OTAs were displaying as many choices as possible to compete with the GDS screen is completely over. The more choices you give today to a traveler, the more frustrated and unhappy he's going to be. The new traveler, the millennial, as we call him today, embrace technology, embrace all devices, and he wants to be shown the right information for what he needs. The capacity to track shopping, booking information that you can combine with demographic, psychographic, weather, geographical information can really bring you the strengths to compete and be able to sell to your shopper exactly what he needs in a shorter amount of time. Especially with regards to mobile, which obviously bring a much smaller screen, it is very key today to target the information that you're going to return to your customer. Targeted marketing, targeted information are probably trends that you've been hearing before. Providing targeted offers is the key capability today for travel companies. And it's even more critical, as I said, in the mobile arena. We are really seeing growth in that domain, much more in the retail sector than in the travel industry, where these opportunities remain very and largely untapped. Customer segmentation is getting definitely more sophisticated. Smaller devices, as I mentioned, require much more filtered content. And relevance is trumping quantity of alternatives. What is happening today? Well, personal and behavioral targeting become more and more common. That's the norm today, or at least should be the norm for each of you. Targeting has become, as I said, a reality in retail, a constant norm, which is not the case in the travel space. Big data, complex algorithms can really enable you to match the interest of your clients with your offering. Every year, on the first day of our annual conference, we held the Travel Innovation Summit, where we present 30 selected companies which want to compete and present their latest innovation. Amadeus presented last year their Amadeus Featured Results product, which used flight search technology combined with travel business intelligence to be able to return to their travelers the cheapest, the fastest, and the most relevant option. That is the direction of the future of travel. You need a targeted content strategy. Needless to say that travel needs to learn and catch up from the retail space. Suppliers are very much ahead of the distributors. So as a distributors, you either need to compete with a supplier or partner with them. Including personalization of content is even more key in mobile strategy. Non-suppliers, point of sales, as I said, you have to compete or partner with them. As examples, I could show you Nielsen. Nielsen realized that the main clients for barbecue, the main target, was actually not the barbecuers, but the kids after school. And they changed completely the advertising campaign and the marketing and the targeted content for those kids after school. It had a profound effect and generated 15 to 20% in annual growth. Sojourn is a great example of company in that domain. They're partly owned by airlines, and they collect more than 100 million anonymous data points on travelers, which can really enable you to target your shopper. There are several good personalization engines for retail. Gravity is one of those examples here.
So you can't really talk about the new trends in the travel market without talking about social media, social technologies, etc. Because that's really changing the shape of travel. Of course, we can talk about Facebook reach, and we all know the enormous numbers. Suppliers have really been aggressive when it comes to social media. And as I will discuss in a minute, not so much the intermediaries, not so much the travel agency or the consortia or the tour operators. Then you see that certain parties really create value when it comes to social technologies, and we'll take a look at that. But travel distribution companies, the intermediaries, really lack when it comes to social media. So Facebook has currently about 1 billion users, still an amazing number. Social media reaches about 85% of internet users. So of all internet users, 85% actually is using social media. Yeah? And spending a lot of time, the users are spending a lot of time on social media. Yeah? However, travel points of sale is slow in recognizing the value of social media. That's a trend that we saw and that we are surprised about. It's still early in the game. Let's face it, social media is only how old? 5 years old, 6 years old? So there's still lots of time to catch up. But if there are tour operators and travel agents in the audience, it's really time to look at what suppliers are doing in this area and get as aggressive as they are. Yeah? So again, to those people with points of sale, counter the progress made by suppliers in leveraging social media, invest in social media strategy, yeah? Expect and demand and enabling social media tools. Now, I think that we all, again, it's early in the game, and we all might be a little disappointed in what social media has done in terms of performance, in terms of lead generation. I think we all expected a little bit more in that area. But still, I mean, compare it with 1995, 1996, if somebody would say, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to build my internet site, my website. I mean, what's the ROI? I mean, that's a silly discussion. And we are all, of course, we're all into measuring performance and looking at your metrics. But if you're still stuck in an ROI discussion, I think you really have to move on. And some of the, and especially suppliers have done that. I think that I want to go over there. So we have in the white paper some really great examples of some of the suppliers that really have moved, pushed forward the envelope, and some great numbers in the white paper. At this moment, I would like to finish by saying that about 40% of the point of sale that I discussed, only 40% actually is active in social media, and from that group, 20% believe that it's a waste of time and money. I think I've said enough. That is for those that are active in that area. It's time to move on, jump on the bandwagon. Social media is here to stay, and in the next 5-10 years, we will see that it will generate leads and the performance will be better. Thank you very much. We're going to the next one.
Cloud computing is becoming a norm. Cloud computing spend shows an annual growth of around 28%. We are seeing cloud computing technology and platform as a choice for the startup, which helps them to kick off with a great advantage compared to many established travel companies, which are still struggling and still find it hard to invest in cloud computing. Cloud services are becoming more and more sophisticated. Cloud computing has the potential not only to reduce the IT cost, to improve the time to market, but with cloud brokerage services, it can allow a cloud-based service to combine, for example, train, air, bus, for a multimodal trip planning tool. Across multiple industries, the spend for cloud computing represents around 34% of the IT spend. Based on the survey that we did among the travel industry, for the travel industry players, that only represents 4%. We are definitely lagging behind all the other industry when it comes to cloud computing. While travel companies are still struggling to initiate cloud services, the cloud brokers in the other industry that we should really aim at within travel can really deliver different types of services now to enable intermediation, aggregation, and arbitrage. Travel companies today must really aggressively consider some spend as a business value when it comes to cloud computing and really develop their plans accordingly. And acquire, it goes without saying, the expertise. As I said, cloud computing is maturing, and it should be considered not only for your operations, your expansions, creating new form of business value. As some examples, you can see here a diagram from the National Institute of Standards and Technology that you will find in the white paper also after this presentation, which is the computing reference model. Cloud computing can provide a substantial reduction in unit cost and increase really your technical capability. Your turn. Number 5.
So, thank you. So, 10 years ago, if we would have sit in the same room, in the same audience, and I would have asked you, how many devices do you have? Then most likely, the majority would say one. I mean, you had a desktop or a laptop, and a few of you would have had the new BlackBerry, you know, the blue one, that I still think is the best BlackBerry ever. So most of them would have said one. Now, if I would have asked the question 5 years ago, most of you would have said two. Yeah, you have a laptop or a desktop, and a mobile phone. And some, actually it's not 5 years, 3 years ago, and some of you would have a tablet because the iPad came around in, I would say, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, If I'm asking the question, how many devices do you have? I bet half of you have 3 devices, a laptop, a tablet, and a mobile phone. Can I see hands, please? How many have 3? I would say that's 50%, 40%, I would say. Our research shows that in the US, among US travelers, 33% has 3 devices. That is a lot, that's amazing. There are even people with 4 devices. I find it a little weird. If you have more than 3 devices, I'm not sure what you do with the 4th, but it means that when you research travel, or when you book travel, or when you get information about a particular destination, yeah, everybody in the audience, yeah, we should be able, that consumers can look at the information still on a big screen, on a tablet and a smartphone. And that's hard and a pain, but you got to do it, because consumers use all 3, at least 33% at this moment, and I bet 2-3 years from now it will be more than 50%. Yeah, so you have to allow your information to be read on all those devices. So what's happening today? First of all, technology is improving faster than our ability, as being the traveler, to actually use it. I myself just bought this new Samsung S4 mobile phone. I know 20% of the stuff that's in there, and 80% I haven't even touched. And I don't think, and then I'm a pretty digital guy, and I'm not. I think I understand what's happening, but I'm not using 80%. And I think that many of us have the same thing. Technology is going faster than our ability to use it. Users interact with multiple forms of digital media, more platforms, etc. Yeah. Supporting, and that's for you, supporting multiple devices can be a challenge. You have to have an app for all those platforms. Yeah? Although HTML5 might be the solution, at this moment it's a pain, let's face it. But you have to do it. Innovative companies leveraging digital devices to develop new forms of business value. We'll take a look at that in a second with an example. So what do we have to do? First of all, we have to realize that the digital world is a journey, not an end game. Because it would be like in 1996 if you say, you know, I built my website, I'm done. That's good. Let's move over to something else. No, it's a continuous process of improving your apps, improving your mobile websites. It's a journey, not an end game. And you have to continuously experiment. And yes, you can make mistakes, and now then you go wrong direction. Those that experiment are the ones that usually are ahead. You have developed new digital capability using write once, run many places tools like HTML5. Yeah? And you have to look for new ways to provide business value. For example, the Google Glass, yeah, which is I think a great tool, which is, at least in the US, there are a handful of people that are actually having it. It's $1,500, will be on the market soon. And I think from $1,500 it will come down. But it has amazing applications for the travel industry. And once again, you have to build your applications that it will work with Google Glass. Yeah. Then you have Desti, which is, I haven't used it myself, but which is the agent on an iPad that helps you with all your travel questions. Like Siri is in the iPhone, Desti is a tool on iPad. And then, as a last example, you have the Hertz self-service kiosk. Imagine a hotel where they now and then rent cars. A Hertz kiosk is there. There's no living person sitting there. You can actually interact via video and via an operator that is located at the head office. And all the full transaction can happen there at that kiosk.
Big data. For the few of you in the audience, which I hope are just a few, big data refers to amounts of data that are so large that they cannot be processed through the traditional ways. The effective use of big data can really increase your performance and can really be your competitive differentiator. Here are a few areas where big data can really make a difference. Website performance, call center metrics, conversion cause and effect, multi-channel performance. Big data allows precise custom segmentation, so it goes back to the first trend that I presented to you today. Companies need to stop focusing on transactions, which has been the case historically with the GDSs or with their own technology. Companies need now to focus on data. Implementing effective segmentation to understand your client is challenging. It requires a change of platform, a change of technology. It's an investment. But if you don't do it, you'll be all those old companies who are still displaying 100 non-filtered results, which don't match what your customer wants. Except for predicting overrides and collecting call center talk like time metrics, travel companies have been really slow to develop action plans really based on business travel intelligence. The focus today, unfortunately, is still on trip, not on passenger. The value generated by social media, as Case just mentioned, is totally ignored. Business intelligence is not effectively used, and travel companies, yes, still depend on their lovely GDSs. So what really needs to happen is that we need to change the focus from a trip to a passenger customer metric. Your client is not a PNR. Big data should be defined to really size marketable customer segment. Establish customer segmentation strategy. Provide a differentiation between product and services and leverage social media feedback. And also, of course, pursue business intelligence. Big data, yes, really makes travel smarter today. An example is Costco Travel, which really increased their product and their packaged holidays through big data. And another one is Choice Hotel, which by using data developed an enhanced loyalty program, which has really generated an incremental revenue earned by the Choice Hotel Group.
So let's wrap it up. These are exciting times for the travel industry. And if you look at all the trends, or if you, what PhoCusWright did, we saw that the majority of the trends have technology, is linked to technology. Yeah? And we did not see one game-changing new technology, but we saw a lot of new technologies that all relate to each other. And today we spoke about 6 of those new technologies. In the white paper, you will take a look. You will see that there are 10 technologies that we talk about. I think most of all here are active in marketing and sales. And it looks like if you want to be successful and grow and perform well, you really have to understand the technology and what's out there. A marketer or a sales guy can't do without intense, in-depth knowledge of new technologies. And we certainly hope that our presentation here helped, and that the white paper that you have access to will help in your daily work. Again, here were the 10, you see now the 10 trends that are included in the white paper. What we did not talk were new efficiencies that re-energize the customer experience, intermediaries that require fresh approaches throughout the travel cycle, predictive analysis, very important, that improve the travel management, and short-range communication links that improve the processes. That will also be a part of the white paper. You can come, as Florence already said, you can come to our booth, and we have a box with handouts with the white paper, but you also could go to the website, and we have cards on the table there with this link, but it's our own website. And there's a button, Free Reports, the button that is mostly used on our website. And you can download the white paper. Are there any questions at this moment?